Welcome to this week of Beanie and The Boom, the podcast. This week we got a special guest. This one is a little bit close to home because he's one of us, one of the Lettermen Row, Jeremy Birmingham. We're going to start the show off with him today, man, so we can talk a little bit about Ohio State recruiting, especially in this dead period right now that we have. Birm, how's it going?
It's going well, man. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Can't complain too much, man. Just enjoying this weather, hoping it heats up here in the next couple of days. How's it up?
I mean, it's almost June, so I think we're due. I mean, summer is fast approaching the end, and we haven't even started it yet. So.
Exactly, man. I can't wait. But as you know, we're at that point right now to where it's a little bit of a dead time with Ohio State football. You know, those guys are either getting ready to get out of school or, getting ready to take their breaks and get ready to come back for summer workouts. I don't know what point they're at right now. But nonetheless, recruiting, that's a forever revolving door, and it's nonstop. And we want to talk about it. We want to let our listeners know about it. And I got a couple of guys I'm interested in, Berm, and I'm sure you can help us out a little bit. And first being offensive tackle Parrish Johnson. I just read that he went to the opening and blew the doors off of their little combine there, and I was impressed by his size and his athleticism. What can you tell us about Parrish Johnson?
Well, that's the thing with Parrish. That's what always opened people's eyes to him initially is his size at 6'7" and 290, 295 pounds right now, and he's a guy that's really athletic. He moves really well. He's sort of that new mold of offensive tackle. He's not quite as polished, technique wise and as game ready as a lot of players ranked as highly as he is are. But the upside there is really what has opened people's eyes about him. And he's an interesting case because he's a player that generally does not do camps. And there's some people who question whether or not he's afraid of competition or this, that, or the other thing. And I think that what he did this past weekend in Nashville, going to the opening regional camp there, and really putting on a pretty good show, and not just in the combine testing numbers either. He did a nice job. He was one of the final 5 offensive linemen there. He was selected to the opening finals at the end of June and early July in Dallas. And it's an important camp for him because he's really getting his first taste of competing against players who are ranked in the same stratosphere as he is, and I think it's good for his development long term.
Yeah, now, is he one of those guys that's in the mode of, a Michael Jordan in terms of being a young guy that's going to be able to come on campus and earn a starting job right away? Or do you think it's like you said, you talked about his technique, or is he going to be a guy that takes a little bit of time to develop? But I know when you have a number one guy, you expect him to be able to produce off bat.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about something totally different in the way that Michael Jordan, as an interior lineman, and the responsibility that an interior lineman has compared to a tackle. And, I know that there are some schools, LSU, where Parrish will be visiting this upcoming weekend, taking his official visit to Baton Rouge. That's one program that's telling him, hey, you can come in and start for us. And Ohio State's definitely not suggesting that. They're not telling him that. There is obviously some thought that Thayer Munford will head off to the NFL after this season and that there will be an opening on that side of the line. If he's able to come in and do the work, he's enrolling early, so he's going to take those few extra months to take that opportunity. But I think you have a much more realistic chance of getting in the rotation early and starting as an interior guy, unless you're Orlando Pace. And newsflash, there aren't any other Orlando Paces.
Not to stay on Parrish too long, but I mean, this has been a bunch of I don't want to say shit. I don't want to cuss when I'm talking about a kid, but there's been a bunch of stuff tied to him in terms of, him playing this little game, this back and forth. Hey, look at me. I'm being recruited by these guys. Now, is that something that we'll see dwindle down as the season rolls along and he's going to really, show more of his commitment to Ohio State? Do you think it's kind of like, a soft commitment and this kid is really open to being recruited and there's a possibility of him landing somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to call it anything other than a soft commitment at this point. He's visited Georgia 3 times. He's visited LSU. He's visited Tennessee. He's visited Alabama. He's just, gone all over the country. And it is a frustrating experience for Ohio State fans. There's no doubt about that. Parrish is a guy who last season was in Columbus every single weekend at every home game, recruiting his tail off for the Buckeyes after committing last June. And, it's hard, I think, for people to grasp just how severely the foundation of his recruitment was shaken up when Urban Meyer retired. His entire commitment was based on the desire and decision to play for Urban Meyer. Parrish and his family are not Ohioans originally. They're from Michigan, actually. He didn't grow up dreaming of wearing the scarlet and gray. And so I think that when Urban Meyer retired in the manner that he did, rather abruptly, I think it put his whole recruitment into a bit of a tailspin, and his family had to say, whoa, wait a second, we just learned a whole lot about the business of college football in a 2-day span, because you're talking to Urban Meyer after winning the Big Ten championship game on a Saturday night, and then 2 days later he's retired. And I think that it is fair for any player, and I'm sure you guys, when you went through your recruitment, would have felt the same way, that that's your family's biggest decision. I think it's interesting that he's decided to stay publicly and verbally committed to Ohio State without officially reopening his commitment. I think that is a sign of respect for Ryan Day and for the Buckeyes program. I know that Parrish has been on campus a lot more in Columbus in the last few months than is publicly known. I know that he's a player who's working very hard to build the trust and relationship with Ryan Day that he had with Urban Meyer, but he feels compelled and impelled to make sure that he trusts but verifies what's going on. And I mean, I've said this a few times on Lettermen Live and other shows, but if Ohio State goes out and loses 4 games this year, that commitment is going to be as up in the air as it would be now. So I guess it doesn't matter,
right,
when this is happening, and I think it's actually a benefit for Ohio State that it's happening now. He's taking his official visit to LSU this weekend, as I said. Then he'll be back in Columbus for an official visit on the weekend of June 21st, and that's a huge weekend there at Ohio State for official visits, and it's sort of their class-building relationship weekend. There's other pieces to puzzle here and other big-name players that could be on the verge of joining the Ohio State class, and I think that'll help calm some nerves that Parrish may have about, hey, is this still the place where the elite go?
Right.
And it's not easy. I know how infuriating it is for Ohio State fans, but I would caution that it is equally troubling and frustrating and emotionally draining for Parrish Johnson and his family, and probably more so because they're the ones that actually have to live through it.
Yeah, and I'm one of those guys, man. I always say, man, take the time when making that decision, because, I mean, we all know this is a business. I mean, a lot of times the kids and the parents don't understand that, but this is a business. You got to do what's going to be in the best interest of you and your family.
They had to learn it. They had to learn that it was a business, and they learned it in a way that was a little bit shocking.
Right.
I think, again, for me, the takeaway is that Parrish Johnson never came out and said, I'm reopening my recruitment. I'm not committed to Ohio State. If you go to Parrish Johnson's Twitter account, he still has his picture of him in an Ohio State uniform, and he still got Ohio State commit emblazoned on his Twitter profile. He's proud that he's committed to Ohio State, but he's also doing what is in his best interest, which is to make sure that the program is not going in a different direction. And the thing is, you walk into the Woody and you see all the same signs, you see all the same people, you see all of the same, trophies in the trophy room and all that stuff. But there's one thing missing that it is hard to replace, and that is 3 national championship rings that is no longer in that building.
Certainly.
And there is no doubt that when you take that out of the equation, there's different questions for Ohio State to answer right now than there were 6 months ago.
Yeah, Burn, this is Boom. Obviously, every position is definitely important. Right now for Ohio State, what do you think is the biggest concern? Like, which position you think is the biggest concern, and who do you think that guy is that Ohio State may be looking to possibly get?
Well, I mean, the obvious answer, I think, is the offensive line. The Buckeyes are trying to sign 6 players at that position in the class of 2020. I think the Parrish Johnson, obviously, if we're talking about the offensive line, is the most important recruit on the board for Ohio State. But beyond that, I think it's got to be the tailback position. And If you look at the current roster setup, it's expected that J.K. Dobbins will be heading off to the NFL after his junior year coming up here. And when you get beyond J.K. on that depth chart, there is Marcus Crowley and Master Teague, and that's and then you'll add Steel Chambers in this summer. But I'm still not sure he's going to stay at running back. He could maybe move to linebacker. So you're looking at a three-man rotation that is extremely inexperienced, and one of them, which may be a linebacker. So I think the most important thing for Ohio State is to find that bell cow, Ezekiel Elliott, Beanie Wells type running back, Boom Herron type running back, a future NFL guy that is going to step in and be able to be the guy. So that's why Kendall Milton, the country's third-ranked running back, is from Fresno, California area. He's 6'2", 220 pounds. And he's not an inflated 6'2". He's a legitimate 6'2", 220. You're talking
Beanie Wells,
Beanie Wells type physique. I mean, he is a big kid. He's making an official visit to Ohio State on May 31st, and it's his first official. He's going to take officials to Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, and Alabama, and then make a decision. And if it has to be Kendall Milton or Arizona's Bijan Robinson, who makes his official visit on June 14th, it has to be one of those two guys to lead this class for Ohio State. And it is a major recruiting priority for Ohio State, and it's a major opportunity for Tony Alford to once again reassert himself as one of the country's premier recruiters at that position.
Yeah, man, certainly. I mean, Ohio State, Urban Meyer said it. A lot of the coaches understand it. The running back position is the Cadillac position for the Buckeyes. I mean, it's so critical. I mean, when you look at the success that we've had over the years, a lot of it's come through the ground game. You go back to last year, we had obviously, a unique situation at the quarterback spot, but and years prior.
Yeah, but last year still had a pair of 1,000-yard running backs.
Exactly, no question.
You don't open up that offense that way unless you have running backs
without a running game.
Of making the defense have to play up. So it's huge for Ohio State. Kendall Milton and Bijan Robinson, again, they're 2 5-star tailbacks, both from the West Coast. Neither one of them is going to be an easy pull, but the offense at Ohio State is extremely exciting to these kids, and the opportunity and the trust that Ryan Day is going to be there for some years is there, and so now it's just about going out and getting them.
Berm, you talk about the running back, you talk about the offensive line. At Ohio State, you look at the past couple of years, one of our glamour positions quietly has been wide receiver. Looking at the wideouts, we got some good young guys already committed to Ohio State. You got G. Scott, you got Jackson Smith, but there's that one kid out there. There's that one kid out there that I know would be a game changer if Ohio State was able to land him. And I want you to talk about him, man. I want you to talk about what it would mean for Ohio State to land him and how much better he would make this recruiting class if he was able to join it and just make the team better. And that's Julian Fleming, cat out of PA.
Yeah, I mean, Julian's the country's top-ranked receiver. He's one of the highest-ranked receivers in the history of the, recruiting, the internet recruiting.
How the hell does that even work? How do you become the highest-rated recruited ever?
Well, because they have, they're different percentage points. So, you have like a 99.87 ranking as opposed to a 99.84 or whatever. None of that matters. What matters is that he's 6'2", he's 210 pounds, he runs a 4.5, he can jump, he can catch, he's a guy who loves to block and loves to be physical on the edge. He's a receiver in the Mike Thomas mold of a guy that can play in the slot. He can play on the outside. He will run block. He will do whatever it takes. And he's a player, and I can speak here, from just talking to people around Ohio State. They feel that they have 2 of the 5 best receivers in the country already committed with G. Scott and Jackson Smith and Jigba out of Rockwall, Texas. And to land Julian Fleming when he makes his announcement on May 31st, if they can hold off Clemson and Alabama and Penn State for that win, which I think they will, is a game changer for not just Brian Hartline's reputation as a recruiter, not just Ryan Day and the ability to go into Pennsylvania to take a player who's ranked as the top player in Pennsylvania, who grew up an hour away from Penn State, to take that player and say, hey, Ohio State is still the big dog in the Big Ten. But it is a notice sent out to the rest of the country, which is as I said with Parrish Johnson, this is about the elite still go to Ohio State.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there is obviously going to be some concern for kids until that starts to happen, that without Urban Meyer, that they aren't going to be able to bring in that type of talent. And Ryan Day and the recruiting staff led by Mark Pantoni, I really feel like right now they're being kind of ignored and slept on by a lot of people who are assuming that there will be a drop-off, and I just don't see it. And,
the brand is the brand at the end of the day.
Well, the brand has been there 100 years.
Exactly. We've won.
The brand was there before.
And put guys in the league.
I just don't see it coming, and I know some will accuse me of having scarlet-colored glasses on, but there is no evidence to support this idea that there is going to be a drop-off. Clemson's on an incredible run right now. They're doing crazy things on the recruiting trail. Alabama and Georgia continue to be the top of the line, but if you're talking about a program that is every year going to be a top 5 recruiting program in the country, Ohio State is going to be one of those top 5. So I don't know where this concept comes off that people are thinking Ohio State is not, going to be elite. That there's no change coming. And I think that's getting Julian Fleming in this class and winning that battle will be one major feather in the cap for the program as they move into the summer.
It will be huge. I can't wait. Berm, it's always a pleasure having you on. I know this guy wasn't recruiting. He's coming to Ohio State as a preferred walk-on. What does it do? And this is the last question we have here. What does it do outside of just adding depth and us getting Jagger LaRoe? I love his name. It's a cool-ass name. What does that do for us? I mean, other than adding depth, anything?
Well, again, I think that what this shows is for the kids around the country that want to play offense in college. If you look at what happened there with Jagger, with J.P. Andrade, who's a preferred walk-on in the class of 2019, with Gunnar Hoke, you're looking at guys who know they are coming to Ohio State under the pretense that you're pretty much going to be a backup quarterback and not really ever play.
Right.
But those are 3 guys that chose to walk into the program so that they could learn how to be a quarterback from Ryan Day and Mike Yursich.
That's impressive.
And, maybe the average fan will look at it and say, okay, it's a preferred walk-on, it's a grad transfer who's going to be the backup at Kentucky. But these are kids who could have played elsewhere, and they know that they're not going to be starting at Ohio State and are coming there anyway. And I think, we've seen a transition in college football in the last few years where if you look at Clemson, after Kelly Bryant left, you only have Tracy Lawrence. So Tracy Lawrence is a country singer. Trevor Lawrence. You have Trevor Lawrence, and then you have no idea who the backup quarterback in Clemson is. You had Jake Fromm, who led Georgia to the national championship game as a freshman without any backup quarterback. You have Tua and Jalen Hurts at Bama, who had nobody behind them. This idea that you need to have 4 quality scholarship quarterbacks, which it's ideal and it's beautiful. It's a wonderful utopia, but it's not real anymore. There's way too many opportunities for kids. The grad transfer rules have changed the game. The way that now just the regular transfers, the way that that's being opened up with the transfer portal, it's changed the game. So you need to have 2 guys that can go. It's almost more of like an NFL quarterback situation than a college one or a traditional college one. So these kids are saying to themselves, J.P. Andrade, again, who's a 3-star prospect in the class of 2019, is going to come to Ohio State, and the likely scenario is he sits on the bench for 3 years and then transfers somewhere else and plays. And that means he has 3 years. It means he has 3 years of learning under Ryan Day and gets to go somewhere and play at a low D1 or a D2 school and get a chance to go play football for free. And I think that it speaks to the reputation of Ryan Day and the respect that people around the country have for him. And because so many of these young quarterbacks are being handled by quarterback coaches and people like that, it speaks to the respect that those quarterback coaches have for Ryan Day as well.
Definitely, man. Berm, it's always a pleasure to have you on. You can find anything that Berm writes with us at lettermenrow.com, at Lettermen Row on Twitter, at Lettermen Row on Facebook, Instagram, and go check out at Jeremy Birmingham on Twitter. Jeremy, are you on Instagram?
I mean, I am, but it's not.
You're Instagram creeper is what you are.
Yeah, it's 98% pictures of my dogs.
Okay. And you use the rest of your Instagram to search people's name, and you got a KD page there where you're hopping in DMs and all that crazy shit.
Yeah, I run Kevin Durant's fan account.
Burb, it's always a pleasure, man. Thank you.
All right, Burb.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Taking a quick break from the podcast to tell you about our friends at Keep It Simple Socks. Check them out at keepitsimpleSocks.com, at Keep It Simple Socks on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Hey, man, I can't say enough about them. They're super comfortable, got so many different variations, so many different styles. I love them. Boom loves them. Everybody at Lettermen Row loves them. My kids love them. And my kids just love socks. And they don't even have to match. They're so cool, they don't got to match, man. Right. And they're a local company. Always good to shop local. Check them out at keepitsimpleSocks.com, at Keep It Simple Socks on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Keep It Simple Socks. Super comfortable. I didn't even really think about, guys coming to Ohio State and not just being a backup quarterback, but them coming to Ohio State and having a chance to play under Ryan Day and what that means. Ryan Day was a quarterback coach in the NFL.
Facts.
He does have that NFL tie, and when you're a player out of college,
need those connections.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. You want to go to where somebody has a reputation, one, of developing guys, two, has those relationships. So that shit could be huge, not just for Ohio State and not for the sake of coming here and being a part of this program and helping us if something was to happen to one of the starting quarterbacks, but for your own future, because we all know Ohio State hosts one of the biggest pro days in the country.
Oh, absolutely.
You go out there and you throw, and you got a letter of approval from Ryan Day, and he said, this guy is a hard worker. Couldn't play here because of the circumstances,
right.
But this guy could definitely go on to, I don't know, whether it's playing in the NFL, the CFL, the AFL, but you get that stamp of approval from a guy like Ryan Day, man, that shit could be huge.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, like you said, man, just to have that stamp from Ohio State and how our pro days are here is huge,
Man, second to none. I mean, you don't really get, a pro day to where everybody comes out. We ain't talking about just the
GMs,
scouts.
owners, head
owners,
coaches.
Everybody wants to be a part of it because you got so many guys that that's going to blaze the tracks, jump out the gym and do all these crazy athletic shit that, everybody can't do at every school. So you want to come check it out. And that's one of the advantages when you're looking at being recruited. If you want to go to the next level, you got to take that into consideration.
Absolutely.
What are my opportunities going to look like if I don't necessarily get on the field and be a starter?
Right.
Had countless guys not become starters.
Countless.
But get to the National Football League and play a hell of a long time.
Absolutely. Because not everybody has a chance to go to the combine.
Right, exactly. I mean,
so having a pro day at Ohio State is like being at the combine.
Exactly. I mean, you're gonna get all the same treatment.
Yeah.
But moving along, man, I want to dig in a little bit. But we didn't do a show last week.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of shit that transpired last week that I want to hit a little bit, but because there's so much shit that transpired this week that I want to hit on.
Right.
And one of the first things I want to talk about, man, I want to go to the NFL a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about the Jets first and foremost. The Jets fired their GM a couple of weeks after the draft, and now Adam Gase, I believe, is acting GM and head coach. And I always hate those situations. I always hate when you got a GM that is the head coach because, a lot of times, your plate is too full and the messages get misconstrued. And, you fuck up a lot of relationships that way trying to play, coach and GM because you got to make the executive decisions on, all right, I may have to cut this guy and bring somebody else in, but you also got to coach these guys up while you have them. And you're just evaluating too much. I think there's always should be a buffer in place between the front office and, the bottom office being the locker room and the coaches and the people that's going to be dealing with the on-field aspect day to day. And now we got the situation where Adam Gase is acting GM. And let's throw that to the side for a minute. I think it was Matt McGloin, however the hell you pronounce his last name, the GM that they fired, not Matt, Mike.
Yeah.
But there was rumors leaking out there that Adam Gase didn't necessarily want to spend the money for some of the players that they went out and got in free agency. And one of those guys being Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to understand how that affects an entire football team's dynamic when shit like that creeps out.
Especially right after the draft. These are guys that he drafted.
Exactly.
To come in, so it's now you're looking like, okay, this guy picked up all these guys that they signed during the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Le'Veon Bell, and you drafted guys. They had what, three draft picks in the first round, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, to draft 3 guys in the first round, that's a lot of prospects from just one guy. You know, so for a head coach to have to go back and say, all right, you know, these aren't my guys that I wanted, because maybe they had 2 different ideas. You know, maybe the head coach wanted some different people. I mean, it's just a messed up situation.
It's a built-in excuse, man, for Adam Gase in his first year there with the Jets, that if it doesn't work out with these players, it's not my guys.
It's not my fault. Yeah,
and I didn't bring these guys in via free agency.
Yeah.
So, man, I don't know why they decided to do it. It had to be some conflict going on to where it was going to trickle down into the locker room. But I don't think there's any more dismay than this particular situation, because, like we said, we had Le'Veon Bell have to come out and say, I'm here to play football regardless of who was the guy that brought me in. But, I mean, when you don't got a coach in your corner, they're not giving – now, he wants to win. I'm not going to sit here and say Adam Gase doesn't want to win, but they're not giving a care as if they were the one that drafted you. If it's a guy that drafted you or if a guy that brought you in and say, you know what, this is my guy, I picked him, I want him here, you're going to work with him a little bit longer. You're going to be more inclined to give those guys every advantage to be be
That could be a big difference. For a guy that drafts you, you could be there for 1 to 10 years. A guy that doesn't draft you, you could be gone in the middle of the season. And they're trying, like, in NFL Tuesday, they're working out guys every week.
Every week.
So they're bringing in guys to take your position. So if you're not this guy's guy, he's bringing in or he's looking to replace you if you're not making plays.
Yeah, I
point blank period.
I just don't like that situation there.
No, it's a messed up situation.
Then we saw with the Jets, they also traded Darren Lee. This happened last week to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
And that was something that had been talked about all offseason. The minute the season was over, the conversation of Darren Lee being traded.
I don't understand, though, because –
I understand a little bit. I mean, his production wasn't all the way there when you drafting a guy.
Yeah, but he started to play well towards the end of the season.
He did play better. He did play better.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll give you that.
So, I mean, I like you said, I get it. Maybe he didn't, you know, maybe he took too long of a time to start producing. So they would say, you know, maybe we need to get another guy in here that –
and try to get something for him.
Yeah, right.
But I think Darren Lee – it's all a matter of system for him.
Yeah,
I think he's a good damn football player.
I think if he gets in the right fit, he could play fast, have a good time out there, and just play like himself.
And Kansas City could be a very nice spot for Darren Lee, man, and his
Time
athletic ability. But yeah, man, the Jets. I mean, they're one of those teams that's always in complete disarray. Always.
I seen something this morning where they were saying that Peyton Manning possibly could become the new GM.
I saw that too. I mean, and if I'm paying, there's no way I want to part of this. Fuck that. That's a place I stay away from because.
And my brother played for the Giants right there. It's like,
I mean, and who knows how much longer that's going to be. But the fact that you look at the Jets' track record, head coach after head coach, GM after GM. I mean, the shit has just been tumultuous for the past 10 years there with the Jets. I mean, it's been ugly. They made the playoffs when Rex Ryan was a coach. Yeah. I remember they had a couple of good years with Rex Ryan, but for the most part, they were always an average team. And when they were getting in the playoffs,
they were barely getting in the playoffs.
Just barely getting in. And then before that, they had the whole debacle with Brett Favre, the Brett Favre situation with the Jets. I mean, if I'm Peyton Manning and I want to, start my career as an executive, it damn sure wouldn't be with the Jets. Moving along, man, but continuing the trend and talking about Le'Veon Bell, OTAs.
Yeah.
OTAs are organized team activities. A lot of that shit, well, all of it is voluntary.
Right.
The only mandatory part of that is the mini camps that, guys have to go through. And right now, there's been a lot of talk about Le'Veon Bell not being there. Yeah. Odell Beckham Jr. not being in Cleveland for the OTA. Man, what's your thoughts on that, man?
Honestly, for a guy like Le'Veon and Odell, when you're going to a whole new system, I'm kind of surprised that they're not there. Okay. I mean, obviously, I know, these are veterans. Most of the time, this time is more for the younger guys, right? To learn, to get comfortable. But for a guy to go to a new system and have to learn a whole new playbook, you would think that they'd be there at least the first couple weeks. Maybe take off. But for him not to be there at all, I know he has a thing where he trains down in Miami and has a whole setup how he's been doing it. But I am a little surprised that he hasn't went at least a week or two.
Well, he was there for the start of their offseason workouts, but I ain't really surprised. I mean, when you've been successful at doing what you've done and
the way you've
your
done
workout regimen in the offseason, I get it. I understand it, man. Shit, if you don't want to be there, don't be there. Don't change up what you've been doing.
Yeah.
And when you've had success at doing it. But the guy missed, especially in the Le'Veon Bell situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This dude
he missed a whole year.
A whole year of football, but the year prior to that, missed the whole offseason, missed the whole training camp.
So
and came and ran for 1,300 yards and caught 60 balls.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
what more can you say about it? You going to talk about the go ahead. What you going to say?
I was going to say, but that was with the system that he knew, though.
But like I know, this league is a copycat league. I
mean,
this shit ain't hard to pick up going from one system to other.
Right.
I mean, it's understanding the different terminology. The concept of the play and the integrity of the play is always going to be the same.
I get that too. But then again, everybody know how Le'Veon runs. He doesn't run he's like
he's a patient guy.
Yeah, he's super patient. So you got a new offensive line.
But that shouldn't change the way you run. I mean,
it shouldn't.
If
but
anything,
them guys might not be. It might not work there.
Nah, man. As a running back, I mean, you are you.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, and to have success, that's going to be you regardless.
Yeah.
I don't care what offensive line you got blocking in front of you. That's going to be you. Your running style is your running style. So, I mean, if it don't work there, you look at the offensive line. I mean, we done had a messed up line the past couple of years. What the fuck y'all doing?
Yeah.
More so on the Odell Beckham situation, I guess I understand a little bit why people may be up in arms about him not being, with the Browns and their OTAs because of he's a wide receiver and you want to see that continuity developed with him and Baker Mayfield. A little bit I understand, but outside of that, I mean, you understand these guys, once they break OTAs, they going and working their ass off.
That's what I was about to say. If I remember last offseason, even though I know this has nothing to do with this year, but last offseason, Baker Mayfield, I believe, was throwing
to Jarvis and Odell out at Cali.
Yeah,
so that's something that I already have built in.
They might already have a little chemistry there already, so he may not feel that it's – maybe he knows – hey, the guy knows what's going on, man. Obviously, I mean, you got his best friend is Jarvis.
Right.
I'm sure those guys are talking and communicating. Odell's one of those guys, man. He makes things happen. So who knows what he has going on? He may have some stuff going on in New York, or he's more than a football player.
Regardless of what he got going on, you watch the way he works.
Yeah, he grinds.
He's one of the hardest working dudes in the league. Exactly. Antonio Brown, one of the hardest working dudes in the league. Le'Veon Bell, one of the hardest working dudes in the league. Those guys, it's certain people that I don't give a fuck if they're going to be here in off-season workouts.
You already know what they're going to bring to the table.
When it's time, they're going to be in shape. What they're going to bring to the table. Perfect example. I mean, this happened my rookie year and my second year. We had Anquan Bolden, Larry Fitzgerald, and Darnell Dockett. Those are guys. Fitz, my rookie year, he would come to a couple of OTAs and then he would be out. But he was in and out all the time. Q came to one. All right, cool. I'm out of here. I ain't gonna be here. Darnell Dockett. Shit, I ain't doing this shit right here, man. I'm out of here. I may stop in and get some treatment or whatever, but I'm not about to be out here on the field during OTAs. You knew what those guys were going to bring to the table.
Right.
I remember being in the shower, and I mean, it's weird to say we're in the shower. But I'm in the shower, and we were doing the off-season program, and this is before OTA started. And, I'm talking to Q in the shower again.
Wow.
Hold up. But Q is there. I'm talking
to y'all was in the locker room, man.
We was in the shower, though. We in there having, you know how this is. In the shower, we have conversation. I don't care. You wash it. Anybody looking at you. Nonetheless, we ain't worried about none of that shit. I'm having a conversation with Q. I'm saying, man, I'm excited about OTAs. This is about to be, my first time being here.
He probably looking at you like,
yeah, shit's cool, but I won't see you. And this is, I'm like, what do you mean? I won't see you. You ain't gonna be here? Hell no, I don't go to OTA. And in my mind, I'm thinking as a rookie that damn, everybody has to be at OTAs. Right. And in order for this team to be successful, I got the college mentality, mind you. Everybody got to be there. Everybody got to be on one accord. Everybody got to be on the same page. And that was my first realization. Like, damn, well, certain guys don't got to be here. This is the league. And ain't nobody holding your hand through you working out and through you taking care of yourself and making sure when the time comes that you're ready. And Q was the first person that showed me that. But one of the hardest working cats I've ever been around. And when it was time to play, when it was time to practice in camp, that motherfucker was a dog, was a beast, was outworking everybody, catching 100 balls a day in practice and after practice, and just straight up, showing you how to be a pro and how to take care of yourself. That was the one thing I appreciated about my time in Arizona. It was a bunch of guys. We had Kurt Warner. We had
some OGs over there.
Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden. Steve Breston was another wide receiver out there. But on the defensive side, you got Darnell Dockett, Carlos Dansby, and Choro at the time. Those guys, Bertrand Berry was a beast. A lot of people don't really give him the credit and recognition for his career, but was a damn good football player. Those were the guys that showed me how to be a pro.
Right.
How to take care of yourself.
Right.
How to, manage your time.
Yeah.
And knowing that, all right, once you leave here, all right, I got my own life. Yeah. But when I'm inside these doors and I'm inside this meeting room, this locker room, I'm gonna do everything I'm supposed to do to have a successful career and to be ready when the time comes. And all those guys that I mentioned, all probably, as Adrian Wilson's another guy I left out of there, was fucking ripped up animal. All those guys that I mentioned, at some point, with the exception of Antrell Rowe, are probably gonna be already or gonna be in the Cardinals' Ring of Honor and have had long, successful careers in the league and made a hell of a lot of money, but because they were pros and they ain't really say, you know what, we got to do OTAs, but you're gonna take care of yourself. And it's important to have that veteran group of guys that's gonna show you to do shit the right way. So OTAs, man, I ain't. Everybody up in arms about it. We hear Colin Cowherd talking about Odell, him not being there, and he brought up Odell's 10 biggest, most memorable things he's done since he's been in the league, and he brought up a bunch of negative shit. But when the dude is there, when he's playing football, you know what he bringing to the table.
Care of business.
OTAs ain't that. And I get people, you need the continuity with Baker. He's a young quarterback. No, fuck that. Do what you do, and get ready when the time comes. That's my advice.
Now, if they don't perform when it comes time, then they could, bash, man, and talk bad. But at the same time, man, like, these guys are pros now. This is what they get paid for. If it's not mandatory and they're not there, then so be it. I mean, as long as those guys, when they come in and they're ready to go and they're in shape and they're making plays on Sundays, that's all that matters.
Right, and then it's one thing. When those guys come to camp and you see they're out of shape, 20 pounds overweight, third, and then you know your ass should have been there. And that's on you because you're going to not be productive. You in a nice contract, you get your guarantee money, but at some point when they can get out from under your ass, they damn sure will, and you're going to understand the business side of this if you ain't ready.
And it's another thing for the younger guys. For the younger guys who are just coming in, take advantage of those reps.
Right.
Every rep matter when you're playing in that league, man. You know that.
Man, exactly.
Every rep.
I think people, especially at this time of the year where it's a downtime,
that's because they don't see nobody. They don't.
Right,
it's not on TV. So they worried, they stressed, they at home, they drinking, they stressed out about it because they ain't seeing their guys on TV. So when they see stuff in the headlines like, oh, this guy isn't there, this guy is there,
going crazy.
It's crazy.
Radio shows are not really fabricating, but they're making more out of situations than they actually should be.
I seen something else where Malcolm Jenkins, he didn't show up for workouts, whatever or not, and it's like, man, this dude is a 2-time Super Bowl winner.
He's the captain.
Pro bowler. You know what I'm saying? How could you? And then they was trying to say. I don't think
the coaches didn't make a big deal about it. But
it was the media. Right. I'm saying that's the media for you. I'm saying, and they were trying to say, even though Malk has not said anything about nothing, but they're going to make a story saying that, well, maybe it's about the money. Shit. He deserves the bag.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
When you think about it too, Malk is what? He probably got 2 more years left on his contract there, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And when you see other guys getting paid, 12, 13, 14 million a year. And
you closer to the end than the beginning of your career?
Why not go ahead and,
And if this is one of those stands, I get it, I understand it. But if it's just him doing him too, I get it and understand it as well. Malk does a lot of shit for advocating for that's why I say social injustice.
More than athlete.
Exactly. Just human rights in general. Yeah. I mean, dude is a big-time advocate for people in general. So, I mean, I get why he wouldn't necessarily be there. Yeah. But he ain't one of those guys you got to worry about.
Exactly.
When you look at the track records, you understand where guys
is year 10 for him?
Yeah. I mean, let's go on to year 11.
Year 11?
So, I mean, you know what you get in that situation. Speaking of other issues, I mean, not even other issues, just other situations and talking about
offseason.
The offseason and teams more so getting from underneath those contracts. We just saw Gerald McCoy get released by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the shit just – I read the headline, and it bothered me. And it really bothered me that much, but the shit was more so funny because the headline said, Gerald McCoy, Tampa Bay Buccaneers mutually agreed to part ways. Gerald McCoy was due $13 million this year. There's no fucking way that he said, you know what, I'm walking away from $13 million and we mutually agreeing to part ways. You know that there's more going into it. Anytime a player get released, we ain't mutually agreed to do shit. Unless it's, Antonio Brown situation where we understand that I'm going to get traded. But when it's time to get cut, no, because I want them 13 M's, even if I'm unhappy in this situation. So that's why it's just funny the way they worded that. We mutually agreed to part ways. I mean, he may not have wanted to be there, but he wanted that $13 million.
Oh, absolutely. And he's going to get it somewhere else. Somebody else is going to give him that bag just because he's a great player. When I seen it,
cap room, go ahead and give him that $15 million for 1 year.
When I first seen that, the first team I thought about was the Browns because basically, there's rumors been going on that, the Browns were trying to trade for him or the Bucs were trying to trade, whatever. He was trying to get it. Basically, they was trying to trade him. So when I seen him getting released, I was like, well, I kind of seen it coming. But then I just thought about the Browns because it's like I seen they had a post on I think it was on Instagram. One of the Instagram things had posted and said something about him being released. And then one of the first people to say something under the post was Odell. He said Cleveland. So I was thinking in my head like, man, that'd be crazy if he actually if he came to Cleveland. But he's gonna be one of those guys. He's gonna be able to pick where he wants to go.
Bro, I'm looking up right now the Browns defensive line. I know we just went out and we traded for
stupid.
Was it Olivier Vernon?
Yeah,
we just got him from the Jets, and we already got Myles Garrett. We know how good he is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? We got Sheldon Richardson. I completely forgot about that. Can you imagine what that defensive line would look like and how scary that would be if we got Jerry McCoy on that D-line?
It'd be nasty.
Dude,
it'd be nasty because, the secondary then got even better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where, that's where it all starts, Beans, up front. The defense line, the offensive line.
Exactly.
And for them to get him would be a huge plus.
Man, if I'm Dorsey, I'm making a phone call to whoever the hell Gerald's agent and say, man, I got $15 million 1 year. Come on in. Kick in. And I'm Gerald, I'm running because I know the Browns are trending up right now.
They're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, that shit would be a no-brainer. I would do it in a heartbeat.
They're going in the right direction, man. I mean, that would be awesome. That team, man, is they're making some moves. I just hope that they could put it all together and make everything work. And I hope it's not one of those things where how you get too much talent and you don't know how to spread it out. I hope it's not one of those things, man.
And that's with the quarterback. I mean, that's a lot to do with the quarterback when you don't know how to spread it out. I think right now, and you could see it last year when Baker started to get comfortable, he wasn't forcing that ball to Jarvis Landry just because Jarvis was Jarvis.
Right.
He was spreading that thing around and making sure he was going to make plays and getting the balls in the right spot to certain guys. And I think that's going to be the continued trend. And, I mean, the fact that you got Duke Johnson still there on the roster, even though he wanted to be traded, it ain't to me.
Well.
Shit, you got Kareem Hunt suspended 8 games. I ain't doing nothing that Duke want me to do because at the end of the day, I'm still writing this check if I'm the Browns owner, and I know your ass is going to be wanting to play because you're going to want to get paid.
Yeah, because they just gave him that new contract, last year?
Yeah, man, making $5 million a year or something like that.
I mean, why not want that bread? I mean, he's going to play, man. I mean, regardless of.
And if I'm Duke anyways, I'm a running back.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, so what? They go get Kareem Hunt. As long as I'm productive, when I get my opportunity, I'm going to be playing much longer in the league, whether it's with the Browns or somebody else, because I ain't going to be banged up and I ain't going to be hurt.
All right.
So, all right, so be it.
And you could last in the league for a longer time than if you're the starting guy. You're getting banged up every play. So if I'm him, take that $5 million, go back there and return some kicks, do some special teams, play third down, play receiver. Man, whatever it is, man. $5 million, bro, for a running back. That's good money.
You take it in the heartbeat.
And in the NFL, you know what I'm saying?
Man, shifting and talking about the team right down the road, man. Big Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know if you saw. I don't know if any of you saw out there. You probably did. Big Ben is kind of changing the way he does things because I haven't seen this in years past. He invited
the boys out somewhere or something.
Yeah, I ain't seen this in years past. Yeah. He invited his whole crew down to his lake house in Georgia all on social media. Everybody kicking it, turn up. You see Juju. You see Connor out there. Everybody kicking it. I ain't never seen that shit with AB or Le'Veon Bell.
Is that a shot?
No, I'm asking. I want to ask, what are your thoughts on that situation? Is it a shot, or is it like Big Ben understanding that maybe I do need to change up the game a little bit? Although I've been successful for a number of years, it's getting out there that people really don't like me as a teammate. Maybe I need to show people that I'm a better teammate.
I think it may be one of those things where he just trying to, build some chemistry, some family oriented with the offense. I don't know, man. And then at the same time, I think it's a shot. I honestly think it's he's trying to send a message to AB, send a message to everybody that was talking bad about the whole situation. I think he's trying to send a message.
Man, he came out and in an interview, and he apologized to AB and said, "Man, I know some things didn't go
AB ain't trying
as
to
planned,
hear that, man."
But like, the thing that pissed me off with the whole thing, though,
they both petty,
Big Ben. But Big Ben ain't being petty in public. I mean, he was being petty when he talked about him on his radio show.
Yeah.
He acknowledged that I was wrong for necessarily doing that. I shouldn't have done it. I should never do it to my teammates. Came out and apologized. What the fuck? AB just go out and say Two-Face. Text Two-Face on Twitter. Like, come on, bro, chill. Like, you have already let us know that you are one of those people that individuals can get underneath your skin and make you think some crazy shit to where you got to respond to every single thing that somebody says about you. Like, why? I don't understand that.
Man, they just need to take his social media away from him, man.
And he's got to the point where he's made so much money now. It's like
he feel like he can say he's untouchable.
But it's almost like, bro, for real, I know it hasn't gotten to the point to where we're watching him get into issues off the field. But if he don't, let's say he goes to Oakland, he has a pretty good year this year. The next year he has a decent year, but not as good as the one that he's had. And they're saying, you know what, we want to get out from underneath this contract, and we're going to release him. And he still may very well have enough talent to be a pretty good, decent NFL receiver in the league. Mm-hmm. But it's almost going to come to the point to where nobody's going to want to touch that personality. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if right now he's in his prime, so people want him. People will deal with the shit because of how good he is. Yeah. But once it starts to dwindle down just a little bit, that's when we're going to see those questions. Like, all right, man, is he worth the headache? Do we want to deal with it? And I don't know why he keep putting himself in that situation. You got your money. You got what you wanted. Big Ben apologized. All right, you ain't got to say shit.
Yeah. Block him. Man. Do whatever you got to do, but, bro, you didn't get – wait, he's going to get $18 million this year, right? Like, why would I even argue with my past – anybody in the past?
It's like a bitter ex-girlfriend.
Move forward. I got $18 million. I'm moving forward, man. I'm living my life, man. I'm living my best life at that. And I'm chilling, man. I ain't worried about what y'all got going on over here in Pittsburgh. This back and forth stuff, man, is just unnecessary, man.
It's like a bitter ex-girlfriend that doesn't really want to let go entirely. Right. Even though the bitter ex-girlfriend has moved on, she's gotten with a boyfriend that's worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's still watching what the ex is doing. The ex that got less money.
Right.
She still want him to be. Why? Just move the hell on, AB, man. Oh, I love what you do on the football field. I'm glad you got paid, but let them be. Yeah. Move on, man. I want to see it, man. Just go out and ball.
Yeah. Another thing on the off season, man. I mean, I know it's off season,
right?
But did you see Eli Manning's stats for their first practice?
No. Was it ugly?
Oh man, he went 1 for 6, 2 interceptions. 1 for 6 and 2 interceptions. That is terrible.
Bro, it's Eli. I mean, you know what you're getting with him. To me, I already know. I'm not even surprised to hear nothing like that because it's Eli Manning. We know where he is.
It's funny because the picture that I seen, they had him throwing, and then they had the rookie that they just Daniels. They had him in the background just standing there like, yeah, I'm just waiting for my time.
Right.
I know he washed. You know what I'm saying?
At some point in time, you know it's going to come this season. I don't believe that Daniel Jones was the guy of the future. He's got to be the guy right now because Eli Manning stunk it up last year. You lose Odell Beckham. You try to add more pieces to the puzzle. I don't necessarily think that they did the best job of doing that, especially on the offensive end. So once Eli gets to a point to where they're losing, he's throwing a bunch of picks, they're going to be forced to play Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
And that could be one of the worst things for Daniel Jones. It can be because you know how the shit is. I mean, when you're a young quarterback and you're not all the way there, and you're in a big time market, I mean, and you stinking it up, and you were the numbers 6 overall pick. I mean, that could not be pretty for him.
Usually, when you go that high, it's almost like you got to start.
Well, you don't necessarily got to start because you understand that they got a quarterback that they think is.
Yeah, but I'm talking about far as from the pressure that you get from the fans, the pressure that you get from the media.
They're going to force it.
If you're going to force it. If he has one bad quarter, they're going to be chanting, "We want Daniel." You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how it is, man. And that's the league. Everybody wants to win right now.
No, man.
And if you're gonna take a guy that early, why are we still waiting? You know what I'm saying?
I get it in this situation. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to be forced to play, like you said, in New York. The media, the fans, they're going to put the pressure on the Giants, and we're going to force Gettleman's hand a lot sooner by seeing what he was able to get out of Daniel Jones than probably he anticipated. Taking a real quick break from the podcast to tell you about Northern Sports, where you can get a lot of cool stuff out at Total Mall there in Dublin. I just copped this piece right here, man, from my man cave. You can go there. You can get stuff like this. You can get figurines. You can get jerseys. Odell Beckham Jr. jerseys right there. I didn't one-hand it like Odell, but you can go to Northern Sports so you can get it, baby. Go check them out at Northern Sports out at Total Mall. Check them out to catch some cool sports memorabilia. Yeah. But, I mean, there's another crazy story, man, that this shit is just mind-blowing to me, man. And, you know, it makes me think
I know what you're talking about. It's sick.
It makes me think about so many other things when talking about NFL athletes and the life after and how maybe football affected these guys, or are these individuals just downright sick? Yeah. And that's the Kellen Winslow Jr. situation. I don't know if you guys have heard, but Kellen Winslow Jr. last year was arrested for apparently breaking into a mobile home and attempting to maybe sexually assault an 86-year-old woman on one occasion and another 89-year-old woman on another occasion. Went to jail for that, went to trial. While he was out on bail, although those charges of sexual assault versus the 86 and 89-year-old were dismissed, but while he was out on bail, apparently there was a hitchhiker hiking. Yeah. He gave her a ride, and he apparently raped her. And then there was a homeless woman that he befriended last May, and he raped her too. And then the kicker of all this, bro, just not too long ago, while he's facing these situations, he's in a gym, and there's an older lady, I think she was 50, 60 years old, saying that he got in a hot tub next to her and just started jacking off. Like, it's making me really wrong. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? Like, seriously. I mean, that's some sick shit.
That's some mental – it got to be something going on. I pray there's something. I don't pray for him to have something mentally going on.
I mean, I do pray for that to be the cause. It got to be something mental for you doing some shit like that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't wish that on nobody. But if you're doing stuff like that, I hope it's because you're mentally going up top. And if you, I mean, just looking at the dude, he seemed like he's a okay guy. You know, he doesn't.
You ever met Kellen Winslow Jr.?
No, I don't want to either.
Bro, he's been a fucking live wire since the time that I've met him. And then when you just look back at his media stuff, you don't remember the whole Miami, I'm a fucking soldier, the Miami interview? You don't remember that back in the day?
Yeah,
it was crazy. Yeah. But he's always been a different guy. There was a situation to where, you can look it up, he got busted in a Target parking lot for jacking off and watching porn. So, I mean, it's scary. And we sitting here laughing at some of the shit, but it's scary really to think about, you know, what's beneath the surface and what's going on from a mental aspect with this dude. I mean, we all got, you know, mental things that we deal with on a regular basis, and obviously mental health, May is mental health awareness month. And I know a lot of different athletes deal with those issues, and we've been candid about here talking about some of the things that we've dealt with when it comes to mental health. But this is another level when we're talking about an individual, one, having an obsession with older women, two,
he just disrespectful, man.
Sexually assaulting these women. It's like, man,
but like,
what's going on?
It'd be weird stuff, like him just pulling his pants down. He sees a woman through a window and starts jacking off.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
that's just
almost
sick,
creepish, man. And if he done these things, and you know whether there's mental You can use the mental health excuse or not. If he's done these things, I mean, he has to be reprimanded.
He needs to sit it down, man.
Exactly. Ain't no question about it. Ain't no way around.
You got to sit it down, man.
You got to. I mean, whether it's in a mental hospital or whether his ass is going to be in jail for a long time, he got to sit it down because I just can't imagine somebody in their right mind going and doing the shit that he's doing. Obviously, you had the Darren Woodson situation to where he was, giving the chicks the date rape drug, or not Darren Woodson, Darren Sharper. Sorry, Darren Woodson.
Yeah.
Darren Sharper situation to where he was giving the chicks the date rape drugs and raping them and shit like that. That's sickening in its own. But I mean, this is at a
homeless woman though.
Exactly. Then a hitchhiker. You picking people up off the street and say, you know what, I'm gonna rape you and I'm gonna do something to you right here. That's scary.
And
man.
you gotta think. He's a big guy, so it's like a woman's gonna be like, you ain't getting away from that. Like,
and obviously in his defense, he's saying that he's innocent of these acts. So all these are alleged incidents. I want to be clear about that. These are alleged incidents. They're out there, but I mean, the shit is scary. I mean, and it makes me really think about the mental health and the mental aspect that players deal with.
Right.
After football. We just saw the league come out and said they're starting this mental health awareness with players right now.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Marshall's been a huge advocate of mental health, and he's been very vocal about his issues that he's dealt with as a football player. And he came out and said, and I think personally it's a good step for the NFL to start monitoring guys and where they are mentally right now so these things don't get out of hand. But it really makes you wonder. I mean,
it's a great step because there are a lot of guys who are dealing with those issues who probably are afraid to come out. Yeah.
What's the case name? Was it Titus Young or it wasn't Titus Young? I'm saying people's wrong name. The kid that played for Detroit Lions, he was a wide receiver. He was really good, but crazy as shit.
Yeah.
Broke into people's houses.
Even the running back from Auburn.
I know you're talking about.
Had a dread, light-skinned dude.
Mm-hmm.
He was tripping.
Yeah, Trey Mason.
Yep,
Trey Mason.
Man, dude was talented, but just off.
I mean, but when you look at these things, it really makes me think, is the one correlation, is it football? I mean, there's nobody in their right mind. I want to say nobody in their right mind because we've all done it. There's nobody that's played football that's been in a game for a number of years and you banged your head against individuals for a living your entire life. I can't see that person not at some point in their lifetime having something wrong mentally with them. I can't see it not happening. Because, this is asking an average person to walk around, 10 times a day, you're going to bang your head into that door every day for the next 5 years. That person won't be the same.
Oh, no. Even your boy said it in his interview, Wilder. He said, we're not made to get hit in our head.
No, we're not. Yeah.
Like this all the time. Speaking of that, did you see that fight?
Yeah, I saw that fight, man. That shit was... I was so thankful and glad. I order all the fights on pay-per-view.
Did you order?
I was so glad this one wasn't on pay-per-view and it was on Showtime and the shit was free. And I would have been so pissed to watch it for 2 minutes, to order, pay $90 for 2 minutes.
Hold on. So I didn't have the subscription for Showtime.
Huh?
So literally, I had the It was $12.99 to get it. And I got it, and as soon as I got it, the fight had just came up, and the knockout was. It took me longer to get the
subscription all downloaded and all that stuff than to watch the fight. Just a couple of weeks ago, I ordered the Amir Khan and Crawford fight.
Yeah.
Terrence Crawford. I'm a big fight fan. I watch all the fights.
Yeah.
UFC, boxing, I order all that shit.
Yeah.
So I'm the dummy that is spending $90 a trip on my cable bill ordering this shit. So I ordered that Amir Khan, Terrence Crawford fight, and Amir Khan gets hit with a low blow. They gave the dude literally 7 minutes to say, you good. It was a nip.
Yeah.
He probably didn't hit his dick. Literally, he probably didn't, man. He probably just, they were the big thing around anyway. Amir Khan said, I can't go anymore. And I was so pissed off because this was supposed to be Amir Khan's comeback, his big bounce back from him losing and all that shit, and he just took the money and ran. Yeah. And I was so pissed off. And we've seen it time and time again with boxing, with these guys do it.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor, another guy. I bought his damn fight, and motherfucker did the same shit.
Yeah.
Got his ass whooped quick.
Yeah, man. It's tough out here for these boxers right now.
But nonetheless, those guys are not mentally right once you bang your head, whether you're in boxing, UFC, football. you're in a physical sport. I mean, you do it for long enough, and your head is involved to where your shit is going against somebody else or a wall or a fist. You won't be the same. But Kellen Winslow Jr., man, this situation is very, very real, very scary. If he's done what they're accusing him of doing, lock his ass up. I say, man, a mental institution or in jail.
They said life too.
Yeah. I mean,
they deserve it though.
Yeah, I mean,
in multiple situations, and when stuff like this happen, women gonna coming out saying more and more women gonna come out. So
exactly. There's already somebody that said he raped her when he was in college. I mean,
17, he was 19. Yeah,
so much shit. I want to hit on this topic, man, a little bit heavy. Magic Johnson. We all know Magic stepped down. He was the president of the Lakers, and he stepped down abruptly, and I think that shit surprised everybody. Yeah. Me, because LeBron went there. LeBron was part of the reason. Obviously, we know LeBron was enamored with LA, but anytime you're a player, an all-time great, and you get to go play under another all-time great and learn from them from the business aspect and just basketball, you want to do it. Magic stepped down, but had some choice words to say about his reasoning for stepping down. And give it to us a little bit.
Allude to the backstabbing. Was it Rob Pelinka that you're talking about? Is it Rob Pelinka and other people within the Lakers organization? Who exactly were you talking?
No, just Rob. I think that other people didn't bother me. It's really funny as I sit here.
That's it. The part that was funny as hell. It's just Rob. Nobody else in the Lakers organization. It's just Rob. That's just hilarious. But
Rob must have been talking shit behind his back. And he ain't like that.
That's what it sounds like. Rob Pelinka.
Like
if you guys don't know, now he's the acting. I think they moved him up to the president. But him and Magic were tied to the hip with this venture. Since both of these guys had gotten there together, and Jeannie Buss, who's the owner of the team, paired them up. Rob was a longtime agent in the business, understood basketball. Kobe Bryant's agent his entire career, so he had that built-in relationship with the Lakers as well. Excuse me, but nonetheless, I mean, this is Lakers dysfunction at its finest. I mean, I don't know that we've ever seen a Lakers organization to where publicly the dysfunction has been out there. And
they had a freaking rally outside of the Staples Center.
Right.
That's how you know it's bad.
but more so the fact that Magic Johnson coming out and talking about it on an open forum on one of the biggest sports shows there is out there, First Take. I wasn't expecting that because normally when you got guys that are in higher positions, you keep that shit under wraps. You don't necessarily let the public know what went down under this roof and behind these closed doors. And it's almost like, am I upset with Magic for doing it, or do I respect him even more for saying, you know what, the hell with it? I'm not going to have these false narratives out there about what transpired or what was going on. I'm going to be straight up and tell you why I stepped down. Man, what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, honestly, if he felt a certain way about, people talking behind his back and doing things how he didn't want things to be done. I mean, obviously, if somebody's bad-mouthing you to other people, like he said, it wasn't just in the organization. He was getting called from his friends that had nothing to do with the Lakers, So he didn't like it. I mean, obviously, and then Magic, I think Magic is one of those guys. He has so much going on, besides just the Lakers. They were complaining about him not being in the office, not working hard enough. The list goes on.
Missing scouting meetings and all that, so on and so forth.
So, I mean, maybe he just felt, maybe it was time for him to step down. But, when you have somebody also talking bad about him, man, it's not a good feeling, man. Especially when you're supposed to be the man.
Right. I mean, it's not, I guess the question that I have is, what did this mean for the future of the Lakers organization? When you got dysfunction like this, obviously you're going to, if you are Rob Pelinka, and he did come out and say, none of that's ever happened. I talked to Magic on several different occasions. If you're Jeannie, you're going to want to dead this stuff immediately.
Because especially with the offseason coming up, nobody's going to want to come play for the Lakers or play with LeBron if they got all this dysfunction going on right now.
But I guess even more, though, what does it mean for the future with LeBron? LeBron's there. Obviously, we know that he's locked into a contract for a number of years with the Lakers. But is it going to be a situation? He doesn't have a no-trade clause in which he's had his entire career in Cleveland. He doesn't have one of those situations. Do you foresee it being in a situation where LeBron says, you know what, I don't necessarily want to deal with this. I came to L.A. to try to right the ship and win championships and to learn under Magic? Or do you think that, LeBron's going to be LeBron, no sweat off his back?
See, the thing with LeBron, you never know what he's going to do. You just never know.
See, I think we do know what he's going to do. I think he's predictable.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those situations where it's like, you know, all this stuff is going on. Man, I'm just trying to, you know, it might be one thing.
Trying to peace out?
He might try to peace out, or he might be like, you know what, this might be my opportunity where I can step up and be the next, you know, GM, whatever it is. You know, once I'm done playing.
He still got about 4 or 5
I know,
years
but
left.
still, like, but you know how LeBron is. You know, he
man. See, to me, going to LA was never about basketball anyway.
That's what
first
I'm
and
saying.
foremost.
Yeah, he wants to be
about
on
basketball.
He wants to be owner of a team. He wants to get the movie thing going. He get all.
I think it was a strategic business move for LeBron to start his companies.
Mm-hmm.
Got his production company out there, Spring Hill Entertainment. He has Uninterrupted out there, which is mightily successful, and a great platform. He's in a ton of movies. He owns a number of businesses. Him and Arnold Schwarzenegger have the same financial advisors out there, so a lot of different things are coming across his plate. It was bigger than basketball. It was a chance to say, you know what, let me go learn from Magic, not just basketball, because I don't know that Magic could have shown LeBron any more with basketball.
Right.
It was let me go learn from Magic how to be a businessman and how to set myself up for life after basketball. Now, LeBron has already done that, but how do I do it even more? Magic Johnson, billionaire, owns part of a number of sports franchises, but you know the biggest one he owns a part of is the LA Dodgers out there.
Right.
That's what I think it was about.
Yeah, you think so?
That's what I think it was about for LeBron. I mean, it wasn't about basketball and going and winning championships. It was to go there and to make the Los Angeles Lakers a relevant team again, get them competing, but it wasn't about winning championships. I mean, it was the hell with championships because you knew if you're LeBron, if I don't have a couple of guys with me, and who knows, he may get Kyrie, he may get AD in the offseason, but nonetheless, you know the Golden State Warriors are a young team, and you know the way that they're set up, they're going to go for a long time. Even if KD decides to leave. We're watching him run through the West without KD.
We're watching that right now.
And we saw it before KD. So, with or without KD, that young core stays intact. All those guys are in their prime. They're going to be running the West for a long time. So, I personally don't think it was about basketball. I think LeBron is going to be status quo. Going to go there, going to do his job, going to compete, going to want to win. But if the dysfunction continues, to him it's probably like, so what? I'm a part of it. I ain't new to this shit. I was in Cleveland for a number of years, so I'm not new to it.
And I got that bag.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my take on that situation.
Speaking of the Warriors,
Warriors
5 times in a row.
Hey man,
5 times in a row. Let me just. The last time somebody did that, I think it was the Celtics, but they actually went 10 years in a row. That was from 1957 to 1966.
I don't even count that shit. I mean, I don't count anything.
But I'm just saying.
It wasn't but a couple of teams in the league at that point in time.
Yeah, but still, like, for them to be doing what they're doing, man, especially without KD, it just shows, like you said, I mean, KD could bounce and go somewhere else, and they still going to be a top team.
They're going to be a mammoth in the NBA. I mean, period, point blank. I mean, the way that they're set up, you look at Klay, I mean, the best shooting duo that we've ever seen in NBA history. Jeremy Green, great role player. Iguodala, you know what he brings to the table, the toughness. Sean Livingston off the bench. Their team is going nowhere. People talk about Klay bouncing in free agency. Nah, he ain't going nowhere. They're going to be there. They're going to do this shit for a number of years.
I don't know, man. Klay.
Where he going to go?
Oh, you just never.
Why would he go somewhere? If you're winning, I mean, that's what you're winning and you're going to make a whole lot of money.
I get
What's
what you're
the incentive
saying.
for him to dip?
He might want a max contract or something.
What do you mean? He might want a max. He wouldn't get that where he is?
I don't know. Can he?
I'm pretty sure he can. If KD definitely gets out of there, hell yeah. They get
That's what I'm saying. It's either one of them is gone.
I don't think so. I mean, I think and then you sacrifice a little bit. Who wants to be in a situation once you got into a point to where you're winning consistently?
Mm-hmm.
You're making a bunch of money. So what? I don't get max. I get a little bit under the max. Who wants to be in a situation?
You going to the finals every year.
Exactly. Who wants to be in a situation and say, you know, I'm over here just because I'm getting paid a little bit more money?
Yeah.
Fuck that. You mean you're living in Oakland, San Francisco area. You're making a shit ton of money, and you're the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're doing right now, it's already going to be etched in stone in NBA history.
Yeah.
Why not do it for a number of more years? I mean, so
Let me ask you
I
this.
can't see it personally.
Yeah. Who do you think is the glue to that team? I'm gonna tell you who I think.
It's Steph Curry, without question. They can lose Draymond and still be very good. They can lose Iguodala and still be very good. It's Steph and it's Klay. Those two together, obviously you throw in Iggy, you throw in some guys off the bench, but Steph and Klay, those two, you can pair different guys around them. They'll still be a force in whatever conference they play in.
Yeah, I feel you. I think I'm not saying this guy is the glue, but I think he plays a bigger part than what people think, and that's Draymond Green. The way he's been playing.
Draymond Green is good for
them.
Golden State. He's somewhere else. He's not as valuable.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that he could be as good as he is now anywhere else. But with them, I think he takes them to the way they play to another level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
No, I mean I agree. I think now with the NBA, it's who's going to be the best matchup in the finals. We know Golden State is there. I mean, is it going to be Toronto? Is it going to be Milwaukee? I think it would be Milwaukee being the better matchup for
I think so too.
Golden State and having the best chance. I don't think they will do it. I don't think they'll win. Nobody's going to be Golden State. But I think
they might as well get the banner ready already,
exactly.
Get the rings ready already because it's a done. Because neither one of those teams, when LeBron left the East, I mean, obviously, it's just a whole bunch of teams now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Nobody else is going to be able to threaten Golden State seriously, in my opinion.
Toronto, no, because they just – Toronto is Toronto.
Right.
They got Kawhi, but other than that –
they're them.
Yeah.
So jumping off that real quick, man, there's a story I want to hit. I know we're going a little bit over time right now, but I got to hit this shit because the shit is wild to me. And I'm not going to be able to go in full detail because we need to close out the show. And we don't want to have y'all sitting and listening forever. But this Michael Avenatti, if you don't know, was a powerful attorney. And he's very, very popular for representing Stormy Daniels in the Donald Trump saga. And, we all know Stormy Daniels. She talked about Donald Trump. So bad. It's, penis size and amongst other different things. But nonetheless, Michael Avenatti also represented AAU basketball coach who was hired by Nike to run this big-time basketball circuit for AAU. And there's rumors that this coach was indeed playing players to go to certain colleges through Nike. So check out real quick Michael Avenatti to give his take on it, and I'll give mine.
Zion Williamson that you were able to uncover and payments to his family, his mom in particular.
Well, I've got to be a little careful on what I say, but here's what I'll say. Zion was looking at going to the University of Kansas, and there's already been considerable evidence out there relating to wiretap communications and the like that came out during the Adidas case relating to what it was going to take, quote, unquote, for Zion to go to Kansas versus another school, almost like a bidding process. And that Zion was not going to just go to some college for free, quote, unquote. I mean, that's already out there.
Yes.
And so ultimately, of course, he goes to Duke. Now, some want everyone to believe that Zion just decided to forgo, well over $100,000 in compensation for him and his family, which he would have obtained from Kansas and other schools. He just decided that he was so intrigued by the Blue Devil program that he decided to skip all that and instead went to Duke for nothing. And I'm telling you right now, that's just not what happened. There's considerable issues related.
So that's just part of the issue right there with, that Michael Avenatti speaks about with Nike and college basketball. And, this is going to be no different than what we just saw happen. It was a year or two ago with, the Adidas schools. We saw Rick Pitino lose his job behind the Adidas scandal and them apparently playing pairs and the FBI getting involved with the wiretaps. We go back and we look at University of Arizona. We hear their coach on wiretaps apparently paying guys, and a lot of it was supposedly coming through these shoe programs. Mm-hmm. And on one hand, I understand it completely. If I'm an exec at a shoe program and I know that this kid, this Zion Williams is going to be amazing, and I know if he goes to Duke, which is a Nike school, my shoes will be on Zion, meaning that's going to be more exposure. And I've developed a relationship with him by coming to my AAU camp that's coached by the coach in which Nike hires, so I'm developing that relationship, maybe I'll kick him down a couple dollars. I know he likes Nike. Understanding the following that he has on social media, understanding the impact that he'll have on my brand, and moving forward. And we know he's going to be a great player at the college ranks and a great player at the NBA ranks. It makes sense for them to do that. It makes sense for Adidas to pay Rick Pitino staff or whoever was the runner for Adidas. It makes sense for those companies to pay those players to go to those schools, because if they're very good, it's going to mean more eyes on my product. I understand that completely. This situation gets a little bit tricky with Michael Avenatti, because obviously Avenatti represented the coach in play that Nike supposedly fired. And the coach was saying, I want to sue Nike because, they fired me without cause, and that has disrupted my ability to be an AAU coach and to run as big as a program, so on and so forth. So Avenatti apparently went to Nike. Oh, sorry. The information was given to Avenatti from the coach that Nike was doing this and paying these players, right? Mm-hmm. So Avenatti apparently went to Nike and said, you know what, I'm going to sue you for 1.5 for, pain and suffering losses from this coach because you don't really have cause to fire him. But you guys also have an issue on your hands, and that issue is you guys paying college players, and I got proof of it, and you guys need to do an internal investigation. So he went up to one of the higher execs with this information. Nonetheless, everybody came together at Nike and said, you know what, so are you trying to extort us? And that's where Avenatti kind of got in trouble. But my deal is, with Avenatti coming out and saying all of this on, Fox Sports with Clay Travis and all the other outlets in which he's talked about it, is it more so Avenatti believing that, these players are misused and Nike shouldn't be able to control and dictate where these players go based off of the dollar amount that they're going to give these guys' families? Is not fair. These players are being misused and mistreated, and no shoe company should do it? Or is it that Michael Avenatti only cares because he didn't get what he wanted from Nike, and it's more so selfish? He wants his guy to get paid. He wanted to be paid by Nike to run this investigation. That's my question. It's like, bro, at the end of the day, we all know that players can't get paid in the NCAA. But if they are, I get it. I understand it. Take the fucking money if you're broke, especially if you can't get caught. I understand that aspect. Man. Especially if you're in a bad situation. But don't come and act like you're this hero and you're kind of, saving the players from these shoe companies in the way that they're abusing them and utilizing them, when honestly you only turning over this information because you're not getting what you wanted.
That's all it is.
I don't get that, and I don't like that at all. I mean,
that's all it is.
At the end of the day, Avenatti, are you setting up anything for these players? Are you a big-time attorney? No. Are you going to the NCAA and suing the NCAA on behalf of these players?
It's all about him.
Bro, I ain't buying that shit. Yeah. And I get it, and I understand you not wanting teams to have a competitive advantage based off of the brand that they represent. But fuck that, man. To me, this is selfish on your end. You can say it's selfish on the company's end, but I understand why they would do it. I understand why the players would take the money from Adidas or Nike or whatever shoe company.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, we know it's been going on forever.
It's college basketball.
It's college basketball. Yeah. That's a big part of recruiting. Players getting paid not by the schools, but by Nike, by Adidas, Under Armour, whatever it is. But I think it's just one of those situations where he's got caught up in the situation, and now he's trying to take everybody else out with him. And that's a messed up situation.
I don't like that situation.
Man. It's cold blooded. And it's just messed up, man.
Yeah, because when I'm listening to them talk, it's like they're advocates for the kids. Well, no, I mean,
they don't care about them kids.
Exactly. I mean,
this is how it's all about the money.
That's all it's about. It's all about the money and what advantage could you get from going to Nike with this information. I'll scratch your back. I scratch yours. I got all this proof. And if you don't want me to let it out, I mean, you need to pay me to run this investigation. It's bullshit, man. And there is going to be no solution for it until guys are able to get paid for their likeness in NCAA. This is shit that's been going on. You go back to the whole Chris Webber situation and the Fab Five situation.
It's been, like I said, it's been going on forever.
Exactly. And more so in college basketball than college football.
Yeah.
It's not going to slow down or stop anytime soon just because they're putting wiretaps and bank statements. The only deal that I think Nike and Adidas was stupid at why the fuck are y'all doing wire transfers in this day and age? I mean, you can track a wire transfer. You know where it's coming from. Why aren't you just doing cash?
Right.
You got enough
Straight
people
cash.
and enough money.
Straight cash.
Exactly. Randy Moss, what the fuck are you doing wire transfers in this day and age? The dumbest thing ever.
Right.
But nonetheless, the shit ain't slowing down at all because we know this is $1 billion business in which you don't have to pay the athlete, and the athlete if they can find a loophole to get paid in,
They gonna do it.
they gonna do it. Especially when you're coming from not the prettiest situations, man. And I mean, that's my spiel. I know we went over a little bit, Boom. You can hit a little bit more on it, man.
I totally agree with everything that you just said, man. Like, it's not gonna change. These players are.
There's no solution for it.
There's no solution for it
until they can get paid.
So until they find a way to pay the players, man, everything's gonna stay the same.
Exactly.
Point blank. Period.
There was something that, especially with Zion. I mean, I want to hit on Zion real quick. Give me the time. Where are we at right now? Hour and 20. Shit. I'm gonna go 5 more minutes on Zion, and it's just interesting with Zion because we look at where the lottery was set up.
Right.
New Orleans is the
rigged.
number 1 pick. They lose 80. And how convenient, or they're going to lose 80, and how convenient of them to get the number 1 pick, Zion Williams to be right there. Question that I pose is,
It's rigged.
all right, so what if it's rigged? What if Zion said, fuck it, you know what, I don't want to go to New Orleans because I don't believe in them as a program and an organization. I'm going to sit out. Yeah, you say I got some money from Nike. You know what? Fuck it. Nike, give me even more money. I'll take a big contract right now. I'll sit out the entire year. Nike, pay me right now to go to China and endorse your product and pay me to stay in shape, get me a trainer, get me a chef. If you're Zion Williams, do you consider something like that in the hopes of another team getting the number 1 pick next year and you getting a better destination?
Hey, bro, I didn't even think about it like that. That's a master plan.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it.
I mean, he could do it.
And he still would be the number 1 pick. There isn't a player coming out next year that you could say, you know what, will give you the upside that you see right now with Zion.
That's money talk. So
Yeah,
if Nike or somebody come with a crazy offer and say, yo, just go play overseas.
Would you roll that? Not even play overseas. Fuck that. Just be healthy. Just work out.
Yeah. But that ain't gonna help the company if
Why ain't it?
if he's not playing at all.
Why wouldn't it? If I got Zion on the hook,
Yeah, on the hook. But what is he doing though?
he's over. You know how big Nike is in China right now? I mean, obviously they make the shit over there, but you ever see those tours that LeBron goes on in China?
Yeah.
And that Kobe goes on in China and how big those things are?
Yeah.
I mean, if I can send him on a world tour around the world promoting my brand, and you know what I'm doing? I'm making a highlight show of Zion Williams, and I'm showing that shit from him from high school to Duke, just dunking everywhere.
Right.
You mean to tell me that I ain't doing nothing for the brand?
Yeah.
And in high school, he was already wearing Nikes?
Right.
Shit.
Yeah.
That'll do something for the brand, man.
Yeah.
Think about that, man. If you were Zion, what would you do? That's a wrap this week on Beanie and The Boom. I know we were all over the place, but we appreciate you guys listening. Tune in at Lettermen Row. Check us out on YouTube, Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, Google, all the good shit. Tune us out. Don't tune us out. Please don't. Tune in and listen. That's a wrap.